Hi everybody, welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much for being here as always, and let's go ahead and get right into the crafting.
DIY number 1. For this project, I am starting out with some scrap fabric that I have. I think this is like a piece of linen. I'm not certain. I got it from my mom a while back. And I had measured off about a 14-inch square, and I'm cutting that out. And it was folded in half. So I am just going to make sure that the fabric is turned inside out, and I am going to hot glue my edges. So running a bead of hot glue along 2 of the edges for right now, because I am going to be making a pillow. My sewing machine is still out of commission. So if you have a sewing machine and prefer to sew this, you certainly can feel free to do that. I am just really enjoying the hot glue method lately. So turned it right side out, and I'm going to be using a stencil that I created on my Cameo silhouette. Gnome is where the heart is. I just thought that this was super cute. And you know what? Trying to get it on to the fabric and get my transfer tape off, the struggle was real, you guys. It was a little bit of a challenge, but where there is a will, there is a way. So I finally got it off, and then I was just trying to seal my edges as best I could, sliding a piece of parchment paper underneath my fabric to protect the other side. And I've got my ARTEZA fabric paints. They sent me these fabric paints to use. I'm excited to try them. I picked out black and white and a neon peach color, and I'm going to be mixing the paints to get the colors that I want. I'm also cutting up one of my little makeup sponges that you know I love to use when stenciling, and I'm just going to dab this on. So I do have a code for ARTEZA. If that's of interest to you, you get 10% off. The link is in my description box. And a lot of my supplies tend to be down in my description box. So if you have any interest in checking any of those out, please do feel free. I do get a little bit of a commission if you purchase through there, but it doesn't impact the price to you. And in some cases, depending on what it is, I do try to get you guys discounts. So that's always good. So I'm coming in, I had blended a light gray for the hat and for the body of my gnome, a darker gray for the words and just the trim on his hat, and now I'm blending together a pale pink, and I'm going to come in and do his nose and the little hearts all over the design in the pink. Now once this dries, it does say to let it dry for about 6 hours, and then all you have to do is iron the reverse of it, and it will be machine washable and safe for the dryer as well. So I was so excited to pull off the stencil. That's my favorite part always, to see how the design came out, and it did really well, all things considered. So just weeding out the little bits and pieces. So now here I have it. I did turn it inside out again, and I'm sliding in my parchment paper just in case, to want to protect it all, and I'm ironing it for about 5 minutes, it said. So once the 5 minutes was up, I went ahead and took my parchment paper out, and now I'm going to seal up most of this side just to help keep clean edges. It's a lot easier to seal it up this way than it is when it's flipped right side out. So I went about 2/3 of the way down, and then I'm going to flip it right side out again, and then I'll come in with my fiber fill and I will stuff the pillow. You just want to make sure that when you flip it right side out that you poke out all of the little corners. So get your finger right down in there and poke those corners out. So stuffing it with my fiber fill, we can start to see the pillow coming together. So once it's all stuffed, I am just going to seal up that little edge that was left open for stuffing. And if I had to do it over again, I would probably leave that opening at the bottom. I just wasn't thinking when I started gluing it up, but it all worked out. And there you go. Isn't it cute? So today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, and if you're not already familiar with it, Skillshare is an online learning community where you can find thousands of classes on every topic imaginable, like illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and so much more. Their classes include a combination of video lessons and a class project, and you'll find classes for every skill level. And because it's all online, you can take the classes when it suits your schedule, and you can learn at your own pace. Most of the classes are under 60 minutes with short lessons that can fit into your schedule, and I so appreciate that because I am super busy with my full-time job and my YouTube channel. So as part of the sponsorship, Skillshare has provided me with a free trial, and I've been taking advantage of classes on blogging, basic graphic design, using Canva, typography, and how to use Pinterest. Yes, I need help with Pinterest. So I encourage you to check it out because the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description box will get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your own creativity. And if you love it, it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. DIY number 2. For this project, I am using some scrap fabric, a heart wreath form from the Dollar Tree, and also a book from the Dollar Tree. And I am just going to take my scrap fabric. This is a long strip. It's about 5 feet long and maybe 5 inches wide. But you can use probably different dimensions. It really is just a means to an end. I'm just covering up, wrapping my wreath form so that I have a surface that I can use. It does not need to look pretty because we are going to be covering this up. So I'm taking my craft knife from the Dollar Tree and I am just slicing the pages right down along the spine. Be careful of your thumb there. I was being very careful even though it didn't quite look like it. So I cut out a bunch of the pages and I started out folding them in the middle in half a little bit, going both ways, and then I flipped it over and folded it on a diagonal. I was just trying to find a way to get this to kind of fold in on itself in a neat manner, excuse me. And so I continued to do that for a little bit, and then eventually I was like, you know what, I am just gonna start smooshing these. So I just grabbed the middle and smooshed them, and I actually liked the effect that way much better. So up to you if you decide to do the folding method or the smooshing method that I've got going on here, where you literally grab the middle of the page and kind of twist it and just make sure that everything is pointing upwards. Putting some hot glue at the tip and then tucking it in and placing it on the fabric, and you just do that all around the form until it's all filled in. So now I have my sheer ribbon, and I was determined to try to hang this from the center again. And I have tried this before, and for whatever reason with the heart shapes, I just end up not liking the way that it's looking. But I did go ahead and give it a try. I left this part in so you could see what I tried to do. I didn't want to leave it outside of the pages because I was afraid that it would crush them. So I was trying to tuck it in between the pages, and yeah, I was just not caring for that. So ultimately I decided that I was going to go ahead and create just a little hanger on the back. So trying to decide if I wanted a long hanger that'll be seen or if I want it hidden. I ultimately decided I wanted it hidden. So just a little loop of fabric, or not fabric, but ribbon, and hot glued that down, and that was it.
Hi again. I hope that you're enjoying the crafting so far. I'm really excited that you are here. If you are returning, you all mean the world to me. Thank you so much for being here. I just love you all so, so much. So thank you for your ongoing support. And if you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. I hope that you'll decide to hit that subscribe button and come back and join me again another time. So on my channel, I love doing all different kinds of DIYs and crafts, always on a budget, usually on a budget. And yeah, just we have a fantastic community that we're building here, and I really hope that you will join us again. So today's video is really exciting because I am collaborating with Christy Creates. Christy is fantastic. She has a great channel. She is super sweet, super creative. I just love her to pieces. She's got such a cute personality, and I know that you are going to absolutely love her if you have not already checked out her channel. So I hope that you'll go over and see what she created today. I'm leaving a link to her channel and her video for our collaboration in my description box. So go on over and please let her know I sent you and say hello to Christy for me while you're there. All right, so let's get right back into the crafting.
DIY number 3. So I am starting out with this sign that my sister had hanging in her kitchen, and she asked if I would make it over for her. It used to be the chore board for her girls, and they decided that they didn't really need it like that anymore. So I'm taking my Adirondack white chalk paint by Home Decor, and I'm going to just give the sign 2 coats of the white chalk paint until everything is nice and covered. And then I created a stencil again on my Cameo silhouette, and I'm just going to cut the stencil down. I did have a 24-inch mat, so I just did it all together to try to save stencil material, and then I cut it down into pieces so that I could arrange it a little bit more the way that I wanted it and get it lined up and spaced out how I wanted it. I did use my little measuring tape measure there, as you can see, to make sure that I was lining everything up properly and keeping everything nice and straight and even. So here I am applying it to the board, and I just did that with all 3 pieces of the stencil to make sure that everything was nicely spaced. Now, for those of you who don't have a Cricut or a Silhouette, you can certainly hand letter this or print something out on your computer and transfer it and then fill it in. It does not have to be a stencil, or you can find another stencil that you like, right? It doesn't have to be something you cut out on your Cricut. But I came in with my black chalk paint, and I used my little makeup sponge again, as usual, and stenciled that all in. And now I'm taking off the stencil, and really happy with the results. Had, for the most part, I think I only had a couple little places where I had some bleed, but in this area I was pulling up some of my white chalk paint, and at first I was kind of annoyed about it, but then I was like, you know what, I'm planning on distressing this anyway, so I'm not sure why I came in and did the white paint touch-ups because it really probably wasn't necessary considering I was going to be distressing this, but I don't know, my perfectionism was showing, so I wanted it to be nice and clean before I distressed it, I guess. I don't know. So I got that all weeded out, and I'm going to come in with my sanding block, and I am just sanding away and sanding away and sanding away, and then I would come in intermittently and clear out all of the little dust that was created from the sanding. And then the edges of this sign were really pretty. They had a texture to them which made them really great for distressing, so you can see the little ridges coming through. Here's my little dirt devil sucking up all the extra dust. I figured I'd wipe it all down with a wet wipe, and as I was doing that, it was smudging the paint, and the sanding block had done that a little bit, and I was fine with it again because I was distressing it. And then I was planning on coming in with some gray paint, but when this started kind of smudging with the wet wipe, I just went with it, and that made it easy. So now it's time for a shout out timeout. So lovely Linda, she created these cute little ornaments. I just think that they are so sweet. Great job, Linda. And then high five, Heather. Look at her cute little gnome. She was deciding between the pom-pom or no pom-pom. I like the pom-pom. What do you guys think? And Laura, these are awesome. Laura did each of these little flowers by hand for an event that she was helping to put together. Just wonderful. And the cutest little sign, Jane. Love this. So pretty. Thank you for sharing. And very nice, Valerie. Valerie's got a whole vignette of Valentine's Day decor that she shared. Super job to all of you guys. So if you are interested in having a shout out, please email me at craftedbycorie@gmail.com because I would love to give you a shout out as well. DIY number 4. All right, for this project, I'm using a Dollar Tree calendar. This is the February from the Simply Blessed calendar. Also have one of their chargers. And I'm just kind of trying to get an idea of how I want to have it on here. And I decided I was going to cut out the image. So I didn't get super close to the edge of each of these little design elements. I left maybe half a centimeter around it of the gray and just try to do that as neat as possible. And now I'm coming in with my silver lining chalk paint, and I just wanted to knock down the shine on this charger. It was just a little bit too shiny for me, and this chalk paint was perfect because it was pretty much the same color as the background of my image, so it blended so nicely. So now I'm coming in with some mineral chalk paint as well. And the mineral, if you can see in that image, there's almost like a rusty kind of brownish tinge going through the middle of the Love Never Fails image. And so I was trying to tie some of that in and just distressing my plate. Now I've been talking about trying to use glue sticks for a while instead of Mod Podge, so I picked some up at Michael's actually the other day. This is photo glue stick, so maybe that's why I was struggling with this. I don't know. I don't know if it was the chalk paint. I don't know if it was the type of glue stick, but this was not sticking at all. It wanted to have nothing to do with sticking. So I finally gave up, brought out my Mod Podge. I decided I was going to try coating the back of it. Of course, this girl did not try wetting it the way that some of my sweet subscribers have suggested. I just kind of went with it. And so I did get a little bit of wrinkling, but it actually was not as bad as usual. I'm thinking maybe having wet the back with the Mod Podge first might have helped my cause. I'm not sure. But I went ahead and smoothed that all down. And then I did come in with another coat of, well, a coat of the Mod Podge over top of it to seal it in. And then, yeah, I just decided I needed to smooth it out some more. So I'm using my little squeegee tool for my vinyl, and I had just placed a piece of parchment paper over top of it, thinking that that would, you know, be able to release easily. It did stick a little bit, and I pulled up a little teeny bit of my image, but it was fine. So a little bit more distressing, right? So I am coming in now with my ribbon that burlapfabric.com has sent to me. This is a beautiful ribbon. It's a gray and like a, I want to say a beige, I guess, color. And it's a burlap ribbon. It's a very thin ribbon. It is not wired, but it's, I'm calling it burlap ribbon because it's frayed along the edges. And then I decided I was going to fray the ends as well. Really, really pretty. And I'm just messing with it, trying to decide how I want to have it lay around my plate. And eventually I did finally decide that I was going to just cut that and get it to lay the way that I want it. Oh, and there is a coupon code for you guys for burlapfabric.com in the description box if you'd like to check that out. It's a $5 off coupon of a purchase of $5 or more. And so this lace ribbon was something that they also sent to me. Really, really think this is beautiful. And I wanted to incorporate that white because it helped the white image pop. So tucked in my corners on there, glued it down with some generous hot glue. And now I'm coming in with another smaller piece of each of these ribbons. I'm going to create a loop because I'm going to make a bow. So creating a loop and then taking a couple of other smaller pieces to tie around that to make my bow. Now, I wasn't worried about having tails here. I didn't want these to show, which is why I cut them so short. If you want extra tails, you certainly can make that longer, but it's really simple. Literally just tying a simple tie around the loop to make your bow, and I kind of fluffed it up. So now I'm using a generous amount of hot glue all across that tie so that it doesn't come undone, and securing it at the top of my plate. Fluffing up my bow, and now because this is not wired ribbon, I am just going to form it the way I want it and use a little bit of hot glue here and there to kind of meld it to my vision. So placing it around the plate the way that I want it, and just making sure that everything is secured in place so it isn't going anywhere. And then I took these cute little flowers that I picked up at Michael's the other day, and I believe they're made of paper, although I couldn't swear to it. It might be some like balsa wood, but I don't know. It's either a really heavy paper or a really light wood, but they are beautiful. And I just wanted to tuck those in there because I thought that they would look really nice with these colors. So I picked out 3 little flowers that I thought were really pretty for this color scheme and just secured them at the top with some hot glue. And there you have it. And DIY number 5. For this last project, I am using 4 of my ball canning jars, and then I'm also going to be using some stencils that I had picked up at Walmart a while back, as well as some burlap craft sheets. These are also from burlapfabric.com, and they are laminated on the back, so they're great for things that you want to craft with. Taking my white Adirondack chalk paint and going to give all of my jars just a single coat of paint. It's okay if it's a little bit messy because we're going to be distressing these as well. So 1 coat is perfectly fine, and that's all you need. So now I am taking the burlap craft sheets, and I am trying to decide how large I want them. They don't quite go all the way around the jar, even if I use them lengthwise. So I finally settled on folding them in 3s across the length. Hopefully that makes sense. So 3 shorter sheets for each. And I did this with 3 of the sheets because I needed a total of 8 because I wanted to be able to go all the way around. So I needed 2 for each jar. And I'm also making this reversible. So when I had all of my little sheets cut, I came in with my stencil and again, my little makeup sponge with my white chalk paint, and just making sure that that letter is centered and moving on to the next. And so I did this for LOVE and also for HOME. So it is going to be reversible. Now you could certainly use the O and the E jars for both, but I wanted it literally to be reversible because I wanted it that way, just in case I had it on a shelf where you could see both sides of it. So that was why I did it that way. So now I'm coming in with a baby wipe and I'm trying to wet distress my jars, but I let them dry too long, and yeah, the paint just didn't want to come off. Where I got it off, I was using my fingernail through the wet wipe. So I came in with my sanding block instead, and that worked much better. So I'm focusing on the top edges and the bottom edges because our centers are going to be completely covered up with the burlap. So don't need to worry about distressing the centers. So coming in and distressing all of those. And once that was all set, I went ahead and lined them up and I started getting my letters ready. By the time I was done distressing my jars, my letters were dry so I could keep on crafting, and just trying to get an idea of how high up on the jar I wanted them to be. So once I determined the placement, I came in and I just did a bead of hot glue on either side of the burlap strips right to the jar. And I did that for all 4 jars. So here I'm just going to make sure that I have it lined up, that it's even with my L. I'm going to just eyeball it, make sure that everything is the same height, and come in and glue down my strips. So once I had that all done, I flipped them over in the order that I wanted them. So again, they're going to be reversible. So I need to make sure my LOVE is going from right to left now, so that when I place my HOME, when they're all standing up, everything is as it should be. Hopefully that's making sense. So I brought in my new strips for the other side. I folded over the edges and ran a bead of hot glue down the length of that as well. I was just lining this up. I wanted my edges to be nice and clean. It does make them stand out a little bit on the sides. So if you don't want that look, you might want to consider just leaving them flat, but I don't know. It just depends on whether you want a nice clean edge. I wanted the nice clean edge. So just folded that over and came in and secured that on all 4 of the jars as well. So on the one side I have love, and on the other side I have home. So here I'm going to flip them around for you again so you can see they're there, and then I'm just double checking myself. Is home going the right way? Yep, all set. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to add some ribbon. And I'm using more ribbon from burlapfabric.com. They also sent me this thinner ribbon. It's just like the ribbon that we used on the plate, except it's more narrow. So this is, I think it's a 1-inch ribbon, whereas the other one was a 2-inch wide ribbon. And I thought I was gonna use the lace for this as well, and then I decided against it. So I just ended up doing a simple knot around the top of the jar, and you'll be able to see in a minute. I'm sorry, at this angle, you can't really tell what I'm doing, but then I'm fraying the edges again, and there's how it looks. And then I decided I was going to do that around all of the jars, but I'm going to work my way around each jar with where my knot is. I don't know if that makes sense, but my knot placement is going to be different on each jar, so that no matter whether you're looking at the home side or the love side, you can see the knots and you can see that there's some reason for it. So you can see now, so I've got the one on the left is in the middle, then it moves to the right, then it moves to the back, and now this knot is going to be on the left side of the E for love. And there you go. And here it is with home. Give me a big thumbs up if you like it. And here we are with our final reveal.
Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you didn't already subscribe, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Take good care. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.